You are nobody to me. My wife threw me laughing with a stranger at a party. Her hand was on his shoulder, and my gift cufflinks were sparkling on his sleeve. I nodded silently, but I was already making a plan in my head. A week later, she lost everything she was hiding and begged to return. Lucas adjusted the candle on the table, its flame flickering as he checked his watch. 7 minutes past 8. Sophia was late again. Their 5th anniversary dinner at La Bella Vita, a cozy Italian spot in Chicago's River North, was meant to rekindle something, anything. He'd planned every detail, her favorite tiramisu reserved, a playlist of their old songs queued with the staff. Yet the chair across from him stayed empty. His phone buzzed. A text from Sophia, running late. Work thing. Be there soon. No apology, no worms. Just words. He sipped his water, the ice clinking, and scanned the room. Couples laughed over wine, their conversations a soft hum against the clatter of plates. Lucas forced a smile at the waiter who refilled his glass, but his chest tightened. Sophia's work things had grown frequent. Late nights, vague excuses, her phone always face down. He pushed the thought away. Tonight was about them. He'd even brought the silver cufflinks she loved, the ones he'd gifted her on their wedding day, tucked in his pocket as a surprise. The restaurant door swung open. Sophia hurried in, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. She spotted Lucas, waved, and slid into the chair opposite him. Traffic was a nightmare, she said, already scrolling her phone. Her eyes didn't meet his. Lucas leaned forward, searching for the spark they'd had years ago, but her attention stayed glued to the screen. Everything okay at work? He asked, keeping his tone light. She nodded, setting the phone down. Just a big project. You know how it is. Her smile was tight, rehearsed. Lucas ordered their usual, pasta for her, steak for him, but the conversation stalled. She answered in short bursts, her gaze drifting to the window. He tried joking about their first date, when she'd spilled wine on his shirt, but she barely laughed. The food arrived, and she picked at her plate, distracted. Let's make tonight special, Lucas said, sliding the cufflinks across the table. Found these in a drawer. Thought you'd like to see them again. Sophia's hand froze mid-bite. Her eyes locked on the silver, engraved with their initials. Oh, she said, her voice flat. I thought I lost those. She didn't touch them. Instead, she pushed her chair back. I need some air. Be right back. Lucas watched her weave through the tables toward the exit. His stomach churned. She hadn't even looked happy to see the cufflinks. He paid the bill, grabbed his jacket, and followed her out, telling himself it was just a hunch. Outside, the Chicago night buzzed with traffic and neon lights. Sophia stood across the street, near a jazz bar called the Blue Note, its sign glowing red. She wasn't alone. A man in a dark jacket leaned close, his hand brushing her arm. Lucas froze, his breath catching. The man turned slightly, and a streetlight caught a glint on his sleeve, silver cufflinks, identical to the ones in Lucas's pocket. His heart pounded. Sophia laughed, her head tilting toward the man in a way Lucas hadn't seen in years. They didn't notice him standing in the shadows. He crossed the street, keeping his steps quiet. The man's voice carried, smooth and confident. You sure he's not coming? Lucas stopped dead. Sophia's reply was soft but clear. He's clueless. Let's go inside. They slipped through the bar's side entrance, her hand grazing the man's cufflinks as they disappeared. Lucas stood rooted, the city's noise fading to a dull roar in his ears. Clueless. The word burned. He didn't barge in. Instead, he pulled out his phone and opened Sophia's social media, something he rarely checked. Her recent posts were all work-related, smiling at conferences, shaking hands with clients. But one photo, buried in her tagged pictures, stopped him cold. A college event, years old. Sophia, beaming, stood next to the same man from the bar. His arm was around her, and she wore those cufflinks, not as earrings, but pinned to her jacket. The caption read, Sophia and Aiden, marketing champs. Lucas's grip tightened on his phone. Aiden. The name clicked. Her colleague, she mentioned casually, always with a laugh. His mind raced, connecting dots he'd ignored. Her late nights, her distance, the lost cufflinks. He slipped into the Blue Note, the jazz saxophone wailing as he scanned the dim room. Sophia and Aiden sat at a corner table, heads close, her hand resting on his. Lucas didn't approach. He pulled out his phone again, switched to record, and captured their whispered conversation, their laughter, her fingers tracing the cufflinks on Aiden's sleeve. He left before they saw him, the cool night air hitting his face like a slap. Back in his car, he played the recording. Sophia's voice. He doesn't suspect a thing. Aiden's reply. Good. Let's keep it that way. Lucas's jaw clenched. He didn't need to hear more. The cufflinks weren't lost. They were a tether to a past Sophia never let go of, and a present she was hiding. He drove home, the city lights blurring, already planning his next move. This wasn't the anniversary he'd imagined, but it was the start of something else entirely. Lucas sat in his car outside their apartment, the engine off, the recording from the Blue Note still looping in his head. Sophia's voice, he doesn't suspect a thing, cut deeper each time. He gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles pale, and forced himself to focus. Confronting her now would only spark denials. He needed proof, something undeniable, to unravel the truth before it unraveled him. Sophia came home an hour later, her keys jangling as she stepped inside. Lucas was on the couch, pretending to scroll through his phone. Good time with your friend? He asked, keeping his voice steady. She froze mid-step, then nodded. Yeah, just catching up with Lisa. Her lie was smooth, but her eyes darted to the floor. Lucas let it slide. Noting the name, Lisa didn't exist in her usual stories. Glad you had fun, he said, standing ahead of bed. She mumbled good night and vanished into the bathroom. The next morning, Sophia left early, claiming a breakfast meeting. Lucas waited until her car pulled away, then began his search. He started with her laptop, left open on the kitchen counter. Her password, their wedding date, still worked. Her email was a dead end, mostly work threads and spam, but her cloud storage folder labeled Old Pics caught his eye. He clicked through, finding dozens of photos from her college years. One stood out, Sophia and Aiden at a rooftop party, his hand on her lower back, her laugh frozen in time. The cufflinks glinted on his shirt. Lucas's stomach twisted. The photo was dated a year before he'd met her. He kept digging, opening her messaging app. A hidden chat with Aiden, buried under a fake contact name, work buddy, revealed months of conversations. Late-night texts about meeting at hotels, coded references to our spot, and one message from Aiden. He'll never figure it out. You're too good at this. Lucas's pulse raced. He screenshot everything, his hands shaking, and emailed the evidence to himself. Each message was a brick in the wall of their deception. His phone buzzed. A calendar alert for Sophia's upcoming work conference in Milwaukee. She'd mentioned it weeks ago, saying it was a solo trip. Lucas cross-checked Aiden's professional profile online. Sure enough, Aiden's company was listed as a sponsor for the same event. The pieces clicked, another chance for them to meet, away from prying eyes. Lucas leaned back, his mind racing. He could follow her to Milwaukee, catch them in the act, but that felt too desperate. Instead, he decided to pull a different thread. He called Sophia's office, posing as a client, and asked for Aiden. The receptionist confirmed Aiden was out, but would be back tomorrow. Lucas hung up, then checked Sophia's work email signature. She and Aiden were on the same marketing team. A quick search revealed their company's strict policy against workplace relationships. If he could prove their affair, the consequences would hit them both where it hurt, their careers. That evening, Sophia came home late again, carrying takeout as a peace offering. Lucas played along, eating silently while she rambled about her day. He noticed her phone stayed in her purse, not on the table like usual. Big plans for Milwaukee? He asked casually. Her fort paused. Just work? She said too quickly. Presentations, networking, the usual. Lucas nodded, his face neutral. Sound exhausting. Hope you get some rest. She smiled, relieved, but he saw the tension in her shoulders. After dinner, Lucas slipped out, claiming he needed to grab something from the store. Instead, he drove to a coffee shop and opened his laptop. He combed through Aiden's social media, finding posts from mutual friends who tagged both him and Sophia over the years. One comment from a college buddy, dated 2 years ago, read, "Still the dream team, huh?" with a winking emoji. Lucas's jaw tightened. This wasn't a fling, it was a history he'd been blind to. He needed more than screenshots. He downloaded a call recording app and tested it, ensuring it captured audio clearly. Then he drafted an anonymous email to Sophia's HR department, not sending it yet, just outlining the affair with placeholders for evidence. If he was going to expose them, it had to be airtight. He remembered a colleague of Sophia's, Mark, who'd always been friendly at company parties. Lucas texted him, asking to meet for a quick coffee, claiming he needed advice on a marketing project. Mark agreed, setting a time for tomorrow. The next day, Lucas met Mark at a diner near the office. Over coffee, he steered the conversation to Sophia's team. Aiden seems like a big shot, Lucas said, sipping his drink. Mark snorted. Yeah, he's all charm. Too close with Sophia, if you ask me. They're always whispering at meetings. Lucas pressed gently, learning Aiden and Sophia often traveled together for client pitches. Mark didn't suspect an affair, but his comments confirmed their closeness wasn't professional. Lucas left the diner with a plan. He'd tail Sophia to one of her meetings with Aiden, record their interactions, and pair it with the screenshots. But first, he needed to test her. That night, he left the cufflinks on the kitchen counter, saying nothing. Sophia saw them and froze, her hand hovering over the silver. Where these come from? She asked, her voice tight. Found them in a drawer, Lucas lied. Thought you'd want them back. She shoved them into a drawer without a word, her face pale. Later, alone, Lucas checked the drawer. The cufflinks were gone. He smiled grimly. Sophia was covering her tracks, but she'd just confirmed his suspicions. He booked a hotel room in Milwaukee, syncing it with her conference dates. If they were meeting there, he'd be ready. As he packed a small bag, his phone pinged. Another text from Sophia, saying she'd be working late again tomorrow. Lucas didn't reply. He was done playing the clueless husband. The truth was close, and he'd pull into the light, no matter the cost. Lucas checked into the Milwaukee hotel 2 hours before Sophia's conference keynote. The lobby buzzed with attendees, their badges swinging as they mingled. He'd chosen a spot across from the convention center, close enough to watch without being seen. His bag held a voice recorder, a compact camera, and printouts of the incriminating screenshots. Last night, Sophia had packed her suitcase with a rushed excuse about team prep. Lucas hadn't argued, just nodded, his plan already in motion. He positioned himself at a coffee stand with a clear view of the center's entrance. Sophia arrived, striding confidently with a group of colleagues. Aiden trailed behind, his phone in hand, typing quickly. Lucas's grip tightened on his cup as Sophia glanced back, her smile brief but unmistakable. They split off from the group, heading toward a side stairwell. Lucas followed, keeping his distance, his camera ready. The stairwell door clicked shut behind them, and he slipped inside, staying 1 floor below. Their voices echoed faintly. You're sure about this? Aiden asked, his tone low. Sophia's reply was sharp. Stop worrying. He's not here. Lucas hit record, capturing every word. They spoke about a private dinner tonight, their words laced with a familiarity that twisted Lucas's gut. He snapped photos through the stairwell's glass panel, Sophia's hand brushing Aiden's arm, their heads close. The cufflinks glinted on Aiden's sleeve, a silent confirmation of their shared secret. Back in his hotel room, Lucas reviewed the evidence. The audio was clear, the photos damning. He cross-referenced Sophia's conference schedule, noting her keynote ended at 6 p.m. The private dinner was likely at 7. He searched nearby restaurants, narrowing it down to an upscale bistro 2 blocks away, known for discreet booths. He reserved a table under a fake name, positioning himself to overhear without being spotted. At 6:45, Lucas sat in the bistro, a baseball cap pulled low, pretending to read a menu. Sophia and Aiden entered, laughing as they slid into a booth across the room. Lucas activated his recorder, hidden in his jacket pocket. Their conversation was casual at first, worked the keynote, but soon shifted. He's been asking about the cufflinks, Sophia said, her voice hushed. Aiden chuckled. Let him. He's got nothing. Lucas's jaw clenched, but he stayed still, letting the recorder capture every word. Sophia leaned closer. What if he digs deeper? He's not stupid. Aiden's tone hardened. Then we pivot. Say they're mine from college. He'll buy it. Lucas's blood ran cold. They were rehearsing lies, planning to gaslight him. He snapped a photo of their booth, the cufflinks catching the light. A waiter approached their table, and Sophia quickly changed the subject, but the damage was done. Lucas had enough to bury them. He left the bistro before they noticed, returning to his hotel to compile the evidence. He organized the screenshots, audio, and photos into a folder, then drafted a new email to Sophia's HR department, attaching everything. He hesitated, his finger hovering over send. This would ruin her career, maybe Aiden's too. But the memory of her dismissive smile in the stairwell pushed him forward. He hit send, then booked a flight back to Chicago for the next morning. That night, Lucas couldn't sleep. His phone stayed silent. No text from Sophia, no calls. He checked her location, still shared from their old trust agreement. She was at the bistro until 10 p.m., then moved to a hotel bar. Lucas didn't follow. He'd seen enough. Instead, he called his lawyer, scheduling a meeting to discuss separation papers. The word divorce felt heavy, but it was time. The next day, back in Chicago, Lucas waited for Sophia's return. She walked into their apartment at 8 p.m., her suitcase thumping against the floor. "Good trip?" he asked, his tone neutral. She nodded, avoiding his eyes. "Exhausting. I'm going to shower." Lucas waited until he heard the water running, then checked her suitcase. Tucked in a side pocket was a receipt from the bistro. 2 cocktails, 1 entree, paid by Aiden. Lucas added it to his evidence folder. He wasn't ready to confront her yet. HR would move slowly, but the email was a ticking bomb. He needed one final piece to ensure Sophia couldn't lie her way out. He remembered her old college email, rarely used but still active. Logging in with a guest password, her childhood dog's name, he found an archived thread with Aiden from years ago. One email mentioned a promise tied to the cufflinks, sent months before Lucas proposed. His heart sank. She'd never been fully his. Lucas saved the email, then called Mark, Sophia's colleague, again. "Ever hear about Sophia and Aiden in college?" he asked, keeping it casual. Mark paused, then spilled they were tight. Everyone thought they'd end up together. Lucas thanked him and hung up, the final thread pulled. Sophia and Aiden's history wasn't a fling. It was a parallel life she'd hidden. He leaned back, the weight of betrayal settling in, but so did resolve. Tomorrow, he'd invite them both to dinner. Not to beg or fight, but to end this on his terms. Lucas spent the morning finalizing his plan, his laptop open to the evidence folder. Screenshots, audio clips, photos, and a damning email from Sophia's college account. He'd sent the HR complaint 2 days ago, but no response yet. Patience wasn't easy, but rushing would let Sophia slip away with excuses. He texted her, suggesting dinner at their favorite Italian place, La Bella Vita, at 7 p.m. "Just us," he wrote, knowing she'd assume he was trying to patch things up. Then he messaged Aiden, posing as a work contact, inviting him to the same place in time for a quick chat about a project. Aiden agreed, unaware of the trap. At 6:30, Lucas arrived at the restaurant, choosing a corner booth with a clear view of the entrance. He placed his phone on the table, set to record, and tucked a folder with printed evidence under his napkin. Sophia walked in first, her steps hesitant as she spotted him. She slid into the booth, offering a small smile. "This is nice," she said, her voice cautious. Lucas nodded, keeping his expression neutral. "Thought we could use a night out." She relaxed slightly, ordering a glass of wine, oblivious to his coiled tension. Aiden entered at 7:05, his confident stride faltering when he saw Sophia. He froze, then approached, his eyes darting between them. "Lucas? What's this?" he asked, his tone sharp. Lucas gestured to the empty seat. "Seat. We're all here now." Sophia's face drained of color, her wine glass trembling in her hand. "What's going on?" she whispered, glancing at Aiden for rescue. He sat, his jaw tight, saying nothing. Lucas leaned forward, sliding the folder into view. "Let's clear something up," he said, his voice low but firm. He opened the folder, revealing the first photo, Sophia and Aiden in the Milwaukee stairwell, her hand on his arm. Sophia's breath hitched. Aiden shifted, his hand brushing the cufflinks on his sleeve, Lucas's wedding gift. "Recognize these?" Lucas asked, tapping the photo. Sophia's eyes widened, but she stayed silent. Aiden cleared his throat. "Look, man, you're reading this wrong." Lucas ignored him, pulling out the next item, a printed screenshot of their texts, the words he'll never figure out bolded. Sophia's hand flew to her mouth. "Where did you get that?" she stammered. Lucas kept going, laying out the bistro receipt, the college email about their promise, and a USB drive with the recorded conversations. "I've got audio too," he said, tapping his phone. "Want to hear yourselves planning to lie to me?" Aiden leaned back, his face hardening. "This is a setup. You're obsessed." Lucas met his gaze. "Obsessed? Or just I'm being played?" He turned to Sophia. "You told me those cufflinks were lost. Turns out they were yours, and as before they were ours. Explain." Sophia's lips parted, but no words came. Her eyes flicked to Aiden, desperate, but he looked away, his fingers drumming the table. The waiter approached, sensing the tension, and Lucas waved him off. "We're fine," he said, never breaking eye contact with Sophia. She finally spoke, her voice shaking. "It's not what you think. We were just reconnecting. Old friends." Lucas slid the college email toward her. "Friends don't make promises with cufflinks, then hide them for years." Aiden cut in, his tone sharp. "She gave them to me in college. You just copied the design." Lucas laughed, cold and sharp. "Copied? I've got the receipt, engraved with our initials, dated our wedding year. Try again." He pulled out his phone, playing a clip from the bistro. Sophia's voice. "He's been asking about the cufflinks." Aiden's reply. "Let him. He's got nothing." The booth went silent, the restaurant's hum fading to a distant buzz. Sophia's eyes welled up, but Lucas felt no pity, only clarity. "I sent all this to your HR," he said, watching Sophia's face crumble. "Your company doesn't take kindly to workplace affairs. You'll hear from them soon." Aiden's hand slammed the table. "You're bluffing. This could ruin us." Lucas leaned closer. "You ruined yourselves." Sophia grabbed his arm, her nails digging in. "Please, Lucas, don't do this. We can talk." He pulled free, his voice steady. "Talk? You had years for that." He stood, leaving the folder on the table. "I'm done being the clueless one. You two figure out your story before HR calls." Aiden started to stand, but Lucas raised a hand. "Stay. You're good at private dinners." He walked out, the cool Chicago air hitting his face. Behind him, he heard Sophia's choked sob, but he didn't turn back. His lawyer was waiting for a call tomorrow, and the separation papers were ready. The restaurant doors swung shut, cutting off their world and opening his. Back at his car, Lucas checked his email. A response from HR confirmed they'd received his complaint and would investigate. He deleted Sophia's last text. "I'm sorry, let's fix this," and drove to a hotel, unwilling to sleep under the same roof as her lies. The city lights blurred past, each one a step toward freedom. He wasn't broken, not anymore. He was ready to end this chapter and write his own. Lucas woke in his hotel room, the Chicago skyline sharp against the dawn. His phone buzzed with a voicemail from his lawyer. The separation papers were finalized, ready for signing. He deleted 3 missed calls from Sophia, her text a mix of pleas and excuses, each one ignored. The HR email from yesterday confirmed their investigation into Sophia, and Aiden was underway, with a disciplinary hearing scheduled. Lucas exhaled, the weight of betrayal lifting, replaced by resolve. Today, he'd reclaim his life. He met his lawyer at a downtown office, signing the papers with a steady hand. "You sure about this?" the lawyer asked, adjusting his glasses. Lucas nodded. She made her choice years ago. The documents felt like a key, unlocking a future he hadn't dared imagine. He left the office, drove to their apartment, and packed his essentials: clothes, laptop, their dog Max's leash. Sophia was at work, her absence a relief. Max wagged his tail, oblivious to the shift, and Lucas scratched his ears, promising a new home. By noon, Lucas had leased a small apartment overlooking Lake Michigan. He moved in that afternoon, setting up a bed for Max and a desk for himself. The view, waves crashing under a gray sky, felt like a fresh start. He emailed his boss, requesting a transfer to the company's Seattle branch. A new city, a clean slate. The response came quickly. Approved, start in 2 weeks. Lucas smiled, the first real one in months. Meanwhile, Sophia's world unraveled. Lucas learned through Mark, her colleague, that HR had called an emergency meeting. The evidence, texts, photos, audio, had been undeniable. Sophia and Aiden faced suspension pending a full review, their careers teetering. Mark texted, "They're scrambling. Sophia's a mess." Lucas didn't reply. He didn't need to gloat. Justice was already in motion. That evening, Lucas took Mac for a walk along the lakefront. His phone pinged, a Reddit notification. He'd posted a vague version of his story on a confessions thread, seeking advice. The responses flooded in. "You deserve better. Move on. She's not worth your pain." One comment stood out. "You didn't just catch her. You outsmarted her." Lucas upvoted it, feeling validated. He wasn't the clueless husband anymore. Sophia tried calling again, leaving a voicemail. "We need to talk. I messed up, but we can fix this." Lucas deleted it without listening to the end. He blocked her number, then Aiden's, severing their access to him. A text from his sister popped up, inviting him to dinner. He accepted, craving normalcy. At her house, over pizza, he shared the basics. She hugged him, saying, "You're stronger than you know." Lucas nodded, believing it for the first time. The next day, Lucas enrolled in a cooking class, something he'd always wanted to try. In the kitchen, chopping vegetables beside strangers, he laughed at a classmate's bad knife skills. The lightness felt foreign but welcome. He wasn't rebuilding yet, but he was starting. Back at his apartment, he hung a new calendar, marking his Seattle move. Max curled up beside him, and Lucas scratched his head, planning hikes in the Pacific Northwest. A week later, Mark sent an update. Sophia and Aiden were fired. The company cited breach of ethics for their workplace affair. Sophia had moved out of their apartment, leaving a note Lucas never read. Aiden, rumor had it, left Chicago entirely. Lucas felt no triumph, only closure. Their choices had consequences, and he didn't need to witness the fallout to feel free. He posted a final Reddit update, thanking the community. "I'm not the guy in her shadow anymore," he wrote. "I'm building my own story." The thread exploded with support, users sharing their own tales of betrayal and recovery. Lucas read a few, then closed the app. He didn't need their stories now. He was living his own. On his last day in Chicago, Lucas walked Max along the lake one final time. He tossed a stick, watching Max chase it, and felt a quiet peace. The cufflinks, the lies, the hidden history, they were Sophia's burden now, not his. He boarded his flight to Seattle the next morning, Max's crate in cargo, his future uncharted but his. As the plane climbed, Chicago shrank below, and Lucas leaned back, ready for whatever came next.